I don't know what's going on with Michael Penix Jr. Everybody expected to see him play in the second preseason game of the year, Falcons at the Ravens, and Penix did not play. Did not play. He's the number 2 quarterback. Did not play. Kirk Cousins isn't playing in the preseason. Penix is the guy behind him, and this is, in theory, his only chance to play this year. This is a guy who's already 24.
Right.
And he's going to be behind Cousins for 1, 2, 3, who knows, 4 or 5 years, depending upon whoever's talking from the Falcons. Why aren't you getting the most you can out of his opportunities to play, to learn with reps on the field when he's not going to be playing in the regular season? It was odd, to say the least. And we've got a few different potential explanations. Let's put a pin in those, Chris, until after we hear from Raheem Morris. But just what was your first thought when you saw that this guy isn't playing?
Like crazy. Like what? Have we been playing in the NFL for 7 years already? We're not going to get these reps that are so important? As you explain, by all due accounts, he's going to be the backup quarterback. But my first thing was my spidey senses, my red lights went on, and everything went on to go, wait, first off, I've been around football my whole life. That's weird. Rookie, he played good enough in preseason game number 1. We're going to chalk it up to the rest of the offseason or the rest of the preseason. And just because he threw some basic plays and had a little success, but we know it wasn't like perfect, like, oh, wow, he's ready to take over the reins and be a star in the NFL. It makes no sense. And the biggest thing where my spidey senses came alive is I'm going, well, they must be worried about Kirk Cousins in week 1. Because they don't want to have no Michael Penix or Kirk Cousins. That's really what I thought, that maybe they're worried about Kirk Cousins isn't totally 100% or that he could have a little setback or something like that, and they don't want to risk putting Michael Penix Jr. out there. That's where my brain went, honestly, Mike.
That's one of the potential explanations, and that's one I hadn't thought of. Here's what Raheem Morris, the coach of the Falcons, had to say about Penix not playing, and we'll offer some more potential explanations after we hear from the head coach.
Last week, we wanted to get him out there and get a feel for what he was in live game, which we kind of already knew. Wanted to see him be able to answer questions, talk about it on the sideline, go out there and execute, make mistakes and know what to do. Like when he looked the wrong way, getting right to the check down. He did a lot of those things a lot, but it took a hit last week, should have changed the protection. He's able to clearly communicate those things. I mean, we've seen enough last week of Michael Penix and the live stuff, and now we had the chance to mitigate him in practice. And we give him a bunch of live stuff out there in practice that you do everything that you would do in a game other than get hit. But we feel really good where we're at with Michael. We feel really good where we're at with the other guys that we set, and we treated that the same way. But Mike showed us last week enough that we don't have to play him in the preseason.
That's a perfectly legitimate explanation on the surface. Why didn't we know about it before the game started? And everyone was like, where's Penix? That's the kind of thing that you need to make sure the reporters covering the team know that. Set the expectations for the fans so you don't light this fuse that goes who knows where. So, yes, the decision is one thing. How you position people to process it and react to it, it's much more of a stunner when you have no advance notice. Because that's one of the storylines we're looking at every week for every team. When does the coach say who's going to play? Or is the starter playing this week or not? I mean, that sets your framework going into the weekend, and we had no reason to believe Penix wasn't going to play.
We're like, I'm your buddy. I'm going to push back here against you, and not in a mean way. I don't mean to be a jerk, but in the way of, like, that was not an acceptable answer. You and I have been around this forever. Tell me when you've heard of a rookie going, he played good in preseason game number 1. We're not going to play him again the rest. We saw enough. A rookie? Top 10 pick? I've never in my life can remember anything like that. Never. That to me is crazy. I don't get that. And whether it is,
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
My point is, if you're going to do it, you don't drop it on everybody when the game starts.
I know that's what you meant.
You make your explanation the day after the last preseason game where you decided you've seen enough from Michael Penix Jr.
You want
get it out there so people aren't like, what the hell?
I don't get it. And even if they did it the day or two after the first game and said that, I'd still be like, what? like a rookie. We're not. These are great times to grow. Might be the only time all year he gets to get out there and be with live bullets and everything we talk about. I just found it odd. It definitely makes you think something's up or weird or whatever, at least in my brain. Whether, I don't know, if they didn't want him to do too good and have more, like, excitement around him that's going to cause problems, or are they worried about Kirk Cousins' health? I don't know, but there's definitely something that makes you sit up in your seat a little bit and wonder what the hell is going on.
Let's run through the possible explanations for this because, look, it's not the first unconventional thing they've done at quarterback this year. No. So it's hard to predict when a team is so damn unpredictable, starting with making Penix the 8th overall pick after you give Cousins $100 million guaranteed. But one, they were freaked out by the J.J. McCarthy injury. Maybe that may have been a factor. Number two, like you said, maybe they're concerned that Cousins isn't ready and they need Penix available and healthy in the event that Cousins won't be ready week 1 when the Steelers come to town. 3, they don't want people to get too excited about Penix. They don't want pressure from owner Arthur Blank to play Penix. Right. Let's not have more film. Let's not have more excitement. Let's not have more questions about why we aren't just going with Penix in the first place. And the last possibility, and I think this is the least likely, maybe they've already decided he's the guy. Maybe they've already secretly decided it's going to be him week 1. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's a potential explanation. That would help us understand why they've seen enough from him, because he's not, we've seen enough for him to be the backup. We've seen enough for him to play.
I mean, that's what you're that is what you would expect if he was your starter. That's where it's odd. Now maybe that's happening, but I'm with you. It's odd. I don't care any way you talk about it. I've never seen this before in the NFL with a rookie quarterback like this. It makes zero sense to me, and it just makes me think that, it's got to be one of those possibilities that you're explaining there, Mike.
And it gave them a chance to showcase Taylor Heineke in the event that somebody needs to trade for a quarterback, but I wouldn't trade him. I mean, you've got 36-year-old quarterback coming off of a torn Achilles. You've got 24-year-old guy with a history of injuries. We saw enough last year to know you need to have a third quarterback around that you can trust. So I wouldn't showcase him to trade him.
No.
He and John Paddock had the reps on Saturday, and it's strange, it's unusual, but it is on brand for what we've seen for the Falcons and how they've handled the quarterback position this year.
Yeah, it is so far. They like to throw us curveballs. They like to make us think we might know what they're doing, and then we have no clue at all. As a fan, I was so disappointed because, of course, I wanted to watch him on Saturday afternoon against the Baltimore Ravens and sit there on the couch and do that, but didn't get a chance. Either way, we're going to keep our eye on it. I don't know where this goes, but like we said, it is odd, and it doesn't go on very often in the NFL.
Okay, you have a chance to win $1 million in the NBC sweepstakes on Yahoo Fantasy. Just download the redesigned Yahoo Fantasy app or go to NBCSports.com/fantasymillion for additional details. What are you waiting for?
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.